You are live. Thank goodness for that. Welcome to our Random Dialogue Stand Up and Speak for Yourself event. We are live now until about 8 o'clock. There are 6 speakers, each sharing a story and a message that they feel passionate about. There is a link in the screen I'm about to put up with more information about the event and with links to our speakers. With appreciation to them today, and I'm going to go around now and ask them to introduce the title of their talk. Niall, please.
Yes, I'm Niall, and I'm going to be talking once again about spaces, but particularly sharing spaces.
Okay. Colin.
Yes, I'm Colin, thank you. I'm going to be speaking of the power of visual communication.
Phil. Phil.
Phil, you're muted.
On the other screen reading off.
Hi, I'm Phil, and I'm going to be talking about how changing your perspective can change your whole outlook on life.
Ian.
Hi, I'm Ian, and I'm going to be talking about seeing the way, more precisely the way that I see going forward this year.
Jonathan, welcome. You've not spoken with us before.
Hi, I'm Jonathan. My talk's going to be about happiness and what the advantage that has for your cognition.
Okay, and I'm going to be speaking about why speaking from the heart could help solve world problems. Now, the first speaker tonight, I haven't told him because it's Niall. Look at his face. I'm going to put you into solo screen now, and Niall's going to speak for up to 5 minutes. So, welcome.
Thank you very much. Okay, taking my notes. So I have 5 minutes. Right, I will, talking about share spaces. So I think I've said before, I am in the middle of writing a book. And what I've said in the past is that, there's many different ways you can exist and enable a space between a group of people. But my view is that of the ones that I'm aware of, one of the most powerful ones, and I think for times like this, is a sharing space. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about what that looks like, some examples of that, and how you might do your own sort of share space in with some sort of basic tips. How you might set your own one up. It's not very complicated, and the general concept of it is that it's a space that is created with the specific intent of enabling people to just have some time to share about, depending on how well you know them, like who they are, how they are, possibly some other specific question that could be something like, what they, a passion or something they can elaborate on. And then whether they have a need, an ask, something that they'd like to ask of the other people, depending on what kind of group it is. And I say sharing in the sense of it being one way, because then you might say, well, what about feedbacking? Is there an opportunity to sort of respond to the sharing? And I would say that, of course, that is one way of running a sort of sharing space, but it's actually very powerful just to have an opportunity to share. And I'm going to say, if you have 10 people, to take 3 minutes each is quite a sensible amount of time. It's quite a pleasant amount of time to be doing that. I have quite a lot of experience now of enabling these kind of sharing spaces over dinner groups. And as I said, 3 minutes is quite a good amount of time for about 10 people. A little bit more for less, a little bit less for more. I've done sessions with about 10 people where you have like 8 or 10 minutes and to tell a sort of life story. Complete strangers just meeting for the first time, that can work very well. And I've done something similar in sort of more social nights, like kind of it's not my time, is it? Beer tasting, wine tasting nights. But the most sort of profound sharing space that I've been part of is something called the Mankind Project, and I've been involved in it for 2 or 3 years. And it's basically a global peer group of men, and we do quite serious, intense sharing time every couple of weeks, and we go quite deep into stuff that's going on in our lives and some sort of rituals around that. And it's quite frankly, one of the best things I've ever done in my life. And getting to sort of share in depth about all different challenges that we're facing. And I think it's the one type of share space that there's opportunities to share, to feedback in that as well. Or you can just take time to share what's going on in a bit of depth about what's going on in your world. And of course, there's lots of parallels that we all have in those peer groups. It's also quite topical because over the new year, we ran a 2020 Anonymous sharing space, which was just an opportunity to sort of let go of some things around 2020, just sort of share, well, how was it for you, sort of thing. And it wasn't like a two-way thing, it was just a one-way thing. And the power is then inherent in that, if you like. So I think about just over a minute, haven't I? So what I would say in terms of giving it a try, and I'm guaranteed that if you're in a close-knit family and you're all chilled and have fun all the time and you're on mobile phones, it'll be quite difficult to convince people, oh, don't be so silly, Dad, you know. But my recommendation is if you can enable it, just to try something of that ilk. Not least because of all the stuff that's been going on in the world. And I think, you know, and so the way to do it is simply to get people together, give them a few minutes, and allow them their time without interruption. And then see at the end of it, if it is sort of 5 people doing 5 minutes, after 30 minutes, you can just sort of see how it all kind of felt for you, what sort of feelings were coming up about it, and then maybe setting a sense in which, you know, you might look to do it again, perhaps a month later or something. And I just think the world would be a better place if there was a lot more of these things going on. It might be difficult to try and get it going in a family unit because it's just not cool enough. But otherwise, if it's a groups of people that don't know each other, it's a great way to break ice and get people to get to know each other and possibly even connect over things that might lead to business and so on and so on and so on. So I think that's definitely 5 minutes now. So I rest my case.
Fantastic, and thank you for joining us in this space this evening. For being a regular contributor.
Thank you.
Contributor to Random Dialogues. Colin, are you ready?
I'm ready, yes.
Yeah, I'm going to put you into solo layout. Oops.
Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. My name's Colin Horner. I'm resident in Johannesburg, South Africa. And I want to share with you a story of, well, in fact, only the last 6 years of my life, but it's been a very, very powerful journey for me. Many moons ago, I was an engineer. I qualified many moons ago as an electrical engineer, and for years I practiced that. But some time ago, I went on my own in business, and I joined a formal networking organization called BNI, Business Network International, which has been around for 30 odd years. And one of the structures of that organization is that groups of people, up to 100 people or more, meet on a formal weekly basis, not quite a space. We meet to a structured agenda, but one of the requirements of that is every week you give a short presentation about your business. It can be as short as 30 seconds. And I became heavily involved in this organization about 6 years ago and took on a role of an educator. I was supposed to teach people. And I've watched over this time how poor people are at communicating, how they don't consider their audience, they consider themselves, and they speak more to themselves than their audience. And I've sort of studied this and said why, and consequently, people don't understand them, and meetings become boring because it's just, and we don't remember anyway. And about 4 or 5 years ago, I read a book which said the best way of communicating is visually, in pictures. I'd never drawn in my life. But I started, there's a rather large group of people, I started to what is called sketchnote, to take very, very, almost like a 2-year-old child, a quick doodle, And what I discovered is that it did two things for me. It helped me focus and concentrate and listen to people, because I couldn't obviously draw at the speed they were talking. But secondly, it helped me remember things. And I became passionate about this. It's an easy road. There's a lot of people.
Colin, you've actually frozen. The screen's frozen.
Oh.
So what I'm going to
okay.
do, oh yeah, oh, he's coming back now. Let's try again.
Okay, well.
You're good
so
now.
What I want to encourage everybody to do is to draw your thinking. Draw your thinking even before you start to talk, and draw what you hear, because you will start to communicate far better, because you can't draw it. You don't know what it is. Now, most people will say, well, I can't draw. Well, just go back to your childhood, because that's all you did when you entered this world and you started to communicate. When you recognized your parents, when you recognized how to read, it was drawing. But culture and pressure has driven it out of us, and now we overcomplicate. So my message is, the simpler the better, the shorter the better. So I'm probably going to go under 5 minutes. And think visually. So use one word instead of 3, and use a picture instead of 10 words. Communicate visually. You will find it a very rewarding experience, and you will find people listen to you more. Thank you. I'm Colin Horner. If you want any help, reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin. I'm going to just put up here more info here about Random Dialogues, because it will have Colin's details in that document, so you can find out more about our Explainer Guy. And on StreamYard this evening, I think a couple of us are going to try and share the screen. It's not so easy on here to do that, and I know that I'm always a bit scared to show my stuff visually on StreamYard. So the next person to speak is going to be Phil.
Hi.
So I'm going to call you up to stage. Here you go.
So I'm going to be talking about perspectives. Not so long ago, in terms of human history, we were all living in very rural villages, tiny ones too. And all we had to worry about was what happened locally within the village, things to do with your immediate family, bit of gossip about the candle maker's wife, or and the crops, that kind of thing. But now we have the burden of the world's disasters on our shoulders all the time, because we're watching the telly, we're seeing the news. I'm terrible at watching the news. So back then, if there was a disaster happened on the other side of the planet, an earthquake, a volcano erupting, whatever it is, we wouldn't have any knowledge of it at all. So we couldn't be worried about it. But now we're obsessed with the news. The news is on morning, noon, and night, right through night. We've got 24-hour news channels. So it's not really all that surprising that we've got a pandemic of mental health, which it has spread around the world too. So after being constantly bombarded with ways to combat, we're also bombarded with ways to combat this extra weight of worry. So we're lots of self-analysis, contemplation, self-examination, rumination, soul-searching. We're all people are imploring us to do this, as a way out of all this. And we do self-questioning and reflection and so on. But how can we move to being more outward-looking, being in a state of open-mindedness, outgoingness, objectivity? And so we want to move from this introspection to extrospection. So one way of doing this is to realize where we are in the universe. So, for example, did you know that the odds of you being born, that with your DNA at the time you were born, are 1 in 400 trillion? 1 in 400 trillion. So you're pretty unique in the universe. And also, it's interesting to get your head around some other figures, like there are between 100 and 400 billion stars in our galaxy. Okay? Between 100 and 400 billion stars in our galaxy. In the observable universe, there are 2 trillion galaxies. So, what I'm suggesting you do, this is something I've done many times and it always works, is to every now and again go out into the garden or anywhere you can and lie down on the ground late at night, away from any light pollution if you can, and spend just 10-15 minutes looking at the night sky. Be good if you picked a night when it wasn't cloudy. And just doing that, just lying and look. It takes 10 minutes for your eyes to adjust, and you'll gradually see, over that 10-minute period, you'll gradually see more and more stars. And it's remarkable. It is just fascinating to see. It's an aspect of life on Earth that we tend not to do anymore, whereas our ancestors did a lot. And it gives you a sense of perspective that makes the things in your immediate life that you might be worrying about just drift away. So another way of looking at it is, after you've done this a couple of times, you can think to yourself, when something's worrying you, think to yourself, so in the context of history and the universe, just how significant is this? And it helps to shed a lot of that introspection. So what I would say is it's great to move from being introspective to extrospective, and that is a really good and very rapid way of doing it.
Thank you, Phil. So we could all unmute now. We've got possibly up to a 5-minute kind of Q&A time now. So if anyone's watching, tuning in, I know I've had since we've been speaking, we've had quite a few orders come through actually for the link. So I've been sort of kind of going over there to my email to kind of send out the live link. So it's being streamed on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you are watching and you've got any comments, you just treat this like a normal Facebook Live or Facebook post. Well, where's Colin's dipped out, and Niall dipped out just then as well for some reason. He's back again. So yes, anyone like to share, question, comment?
Well, I like Colin's think visually, and the idea of drawing everything even before you write anything. And I think I'm going to go back to doing that because I quite enjoy that. So I'm going to get more unlined paper and better pens, just simple pens, so I can actually, because I enjoy scribbling and drawing and things. I'm going to see if I can get access back to my whiteboard.
And Jason's joined us. Good evening, Niall. Hello, Jason. Welcome. Jason has spoken with us before, and he runs the Random Dialogues on radio show with me on a Sunday.
And I think he's also the official curator of the tea cozies.
And yes, he absolutely is. And I've just had mine knitted. And in fact, the talk I was going to share this evening ended up, it's funny, I guess it sort of maps it out, but not so much visually, more in words. And it ended up being something completely different after I did that. So you just don't know, do you, when you start off with an idea, where that idea is going to go, but it's good to sort of start putting stuff onto paper and just doing it. And being in action, as Phil says often, getting in action with stuff. Starting it off, focusing on what you can do.
The tea cozy thing, is it possible to order one to a spec?
Well, my aunt's just knitted me one. It hasn't arrived yet because obviously it's issues over posting. But yeah, I think we could probably, keep her busy. I'll have to ask.
I think they're currently on special offer. I think they're only £427, and that includes postage and packaging. And a free bag.
Brilliant. Bulgarian flag, I was thinking.
Right. I will move us on.
Jason could knit a silver tea cozy and encrust it with diamonds. That'd be cool.
Yes.
No, somebody used to actually create mobile phones, and he used to sell his mobile phones for I think the most expensive mobile phone he sold was £500,000.
Ooh.
And what he used to do is take a regular phone and he'd put it into a gold case, a platinum case, and then encrust it with diamonds. Which a friend of mine said, so when it rings, it goes bling bling.
Oh, dear.
But you sold a lot of them to through Russian oligarchs that seem to frequent London. Probably mainly for their mistresses. But anyway, that's another matter.
Okay, so we've got. Well, I think we will get Jason on here another time to talk about tea cozies. And actually, this is all about sharing your voice. Maybe you've got a message or something you want to change the world with. Maybe deep down you're not sure what it is yet, but this is an opportunity to come and sort of start talking and getting confident with speaking. Some of us have been speaking now since we went onto live stream. I think as we've come together and gathered together, we've got more confidence and at ease with each other, and it's very much a bonding experience. It's a little bit out of our comfort zone. So if you're watching and you think, actually, I'd really like to come and speak and share a story, share something, then just get in contact and or join if you want to the Facebook group if you feel like I'd like to come along to some of your meetings as well. Jason said he's more than happy to make a tea cozy for us. Now, Ian, are you ready to come to share your story?
I'm as ready as I'm going to be.
Okay, I'm going to add you to the solo stream then.
Right.
The rest of us
okay. So I'm Ian, and what I thought I'd talk about is seeing the way. Now, a friend of mine has this thing called core process, and I was very lucky to be. He was teaching people how to actually define, find people's core process. It turns out that mine. So I was a guinea pig, and mine turns out to be seeing the way. So I'm very good at finding the way forward, creating sort of path and creating certainty. I've rescued all sorts of big change projects that have gone horribly wrong, very big sort of things. I've also seen the path that other people can take in their business to get them unstuck. But it's a little bit difficult to do yourself and to see your own path. And that's quite a challenge. But Jane very kindly ran quite an interesting session recently on how to actually do a vision board and on Canva. So I did one that was not quite a vision board, but actually sort of the path that I saw for this year. So I thought I'd just share a few things here, and I'll put a picture of it in the actually in the note we'll put up to here. But so I thought I'd just run through quickly. Sort of gives it may not be so interesting for you guys, but it helps me to articulate it. So I thought this is more about the path that I see for me in business this year. And so I have 5 items on that path. 2 of them are straightforward commercial offers. And one of them is the opportunity to rent my brain. So there's different ways of doing that, either to hire me as a consultant, if you've got something you need to sort of advise, the usual stuff. But the other one is just a day or so where you actually need access to my thoughts that isn't sitting down hard, but you need to sort of ask me questions, or me to ask you questions, and maybe think of things sort of over a period of 24 hours or 48 hours or whatever. So you can rent access to my brain that way. The other one is newsletters. I've noticed that businesses need to be writing newsletters out to answer out to their audience, to their customers, their prospects, that answer the questions that their audience is asking, but they don't. They're not very good at doing that. So what I'm offering to do is create curated newsletters for you as a business. So I'll work out what your questions are that your audience is asking. I'll find out what they're asking, and then go and ask them. Go and answer them, and write that out as a curated newsletter. Find the best articles, find the best content, maybe write some of it, or maybe you've got some content and actually ship that out, and write those on a monthly or weekly basis out to your audience. And it's very useful if you're not doing it. So there are two simple, straightforward commercial offers: access to my brain, or yes, please, I'd like you to do a curated newsletter for me. The other one, I've got one big sort of more of a mission-based business. It's going to take a bit longer. It's a long-term discovery there, and I'm calling that Gathering Success, and that's all about the change that's happening around events and education and work. There's a lot of things happening about how we work, how we gather, how we do events. A lot of things aren't working. And I want to actually do things around the virtual space that allow people to gather better, to learn together better, to actually do things, achieve things, create meaningful engagement together. The other one is it's called Portfolio 42. That's sort of grab bag of all the things that I'm interested in researching, looking at odd projects, a lot of marketing things, a lot of affiliate marketing things, other things that I'm doing with other people, and that fits into Portfolio 42. I've got vast range of tools for running contests, for doing advertising, creating landing pages, all sorts of things. And I'm just going to put that into that sort of bucket of exploration, Portfolio 42. And the other one is storytelling. I'm a storyteller. I might as well just enjoy it. Write, tell stories, draw stories, do podcasts, God knows what. But just lean into it and have some fun. So that's Run My Brain, newsletters, Gathering Better, Portfolio 42 for sort of research and fun projects, and being a storyteller. And that's me. And that's what I see shaping up, how my year is going to shape up, sort of navigating between all those. Right.
Thanks, Ian. Were you able to share the screen?
I don't know. Can I share the screen? I can try.
Yeah, you could do. Or should we try after and then see if we can work out?
Does that? Can you see that? Can you put that up?
Let's have a look. So, add to stream. There. Okay. And
just very quickly, what all those? So that's where I am. That's where I want to go. The different bits and all the blobs on there is just basically quite simple. Everything's connected. Ideas, people, network, opportunities, everything. So behind all this, there's a smush of things that all connect together. And it's very easy to get drowned out by it, but it's also very useful if you know what you're doing and you've sort of got focus. So I'm going to stop sharing because it's boring.
Well, it's good to it's definitely good to see visual. It's important, isn't it, to see the visuals? And, yeah. It's good also to practice how to do that on here. Thank you, Ian. Thanks for sharing. Now it's Jonathan. So Jonathan, right, you're going to have a go at sharing as well, aren't you? So I'm going to put you into solo layout.
Sharing. Hi there, everyone. Hi there, everyone. Jonathan here from Some Talented People. I'm going to talk to you about a thing. So what I'm going to do is basically share an experience with you. Hopefully it will have the intended outcome, and then I'll there's a few bits from a TED talk I've clipped out as to why it's so beneficial. I think it crosses over with what Ian's looking to do, with what Phil's looking to do, and with what Niall's looking to do in being successful. Let me get my screen share up. One moment. Application window. That one. That one. All right, can you see that? Everyone? Anyone?
No.
Add to screen. That's what I've got. Add to screen.
So I've got right, hold on. I've stopped sharing now. Let me try and do that again.
What should we sing?
Oh yeah, okay, let's sing. Yeah. Here we go. No, I've got it now. It's all okay. Everyone calm down. Right, you can see that now, yeah?
Let's do add to stream.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Okay, so this is the experience, and then I'll pause it for a little bit. So I am, basically toilet humor I find very funny. There are some more cuter funny things, but enjoy this, he said.
Hasn't got any sound.
Oh, really?
Thank goodness.
Oh, hold on a second. Hold on a second then. It hasn't got any sound, right?
I have a feeling it won't have any sound.
No, we need to. All right, hold on.
So could you mime it?
No,
not mime it. Not mime it. Could you do the voiceover? Could you do the?
Oh no! Here we go. Share audio. God, dearie
Come
me.
on,
I know. Listen, I thought I was a master. Right, hold on. We'll just go back a few seconds. Right.
There's still no sound.
Really?
Can anyone?
Don't worry. I'm thinking the sound, so I wouldn't worry about it.
Now the thing is, if there's no sound, the rest of it won't work. So let me just try again and share.
Actually, I don't care about the video. I'm just enjoying the experience of you trying.
Well, if you don't try anything new, you never grow. Right? Okay. So, okay. Can you hear any sound at all?
Thank God.
Okay, fair enough. In that case, what we'll have to do is we will have to go off script. So basically, The Happiness Advantage is a book, and the TED Talk is by a guy called Sean Aker. Now, essentially, we live in a world where, number one, we've been conditioned to think that working every hour that God sends is the way to be productive. It is not. The other thing we have been conditioned to believe is that after we achieve success, then we'll be happy. And this underpins basically our schooling policies, our employment policies, our family policies, and almost everything we do is based on work hard, get success, and then you'll be happy. And the problem, as this guy Sean Aker covers, is that our brains work in an opposite fashion. So what happens is you hit a target, you have to get a higher target. You get a good school, you have to get a better school. You get a good job, you have to get a better job. And what's happening is that we are pushing our happiness over the event horizon insofar as we never get there, because our brains, the minute we achieve one success, we're looking for how we can extend that. So basically the TED Talk, which I had clipped in there, covers the fact that if you are happy before you conduct any piece of work, you are 30% more efficient, 16% less likely to make mistakes. You can sell at 2 or 3 times the rate, and basically your brain at happy is better than your brain at neutral, negative, or stressed. And in the world we're in today, as Phil alluded to, as Niall has alluded to, we're in a world where our emotions are being hijacked by the media companies, by the news and what have you. They call it getting our attention. I call it manipulating your reality. So the purpose of the video, even though you couldn't hear it, was that I find that hysterically funny. And if you heard the sound effects, it basically, so I was watching Mock the Week the other day, and this guy gets up and he goes, "Oh yeah, I'm a really nervous guy. I can't go for a wee unless I hear someone, tipping some water or a tap, and I can't go for a shit unless I hear someone throw a lasagna into a bath," which is similar sort of thing. So I have, for the last 25 years, every night without fail, my bedtime routine is I listen to 3 Radio 4 comedy shows because I record them. It's my hobby. So I make a point of laughing specifically both at the beginning of my day and the end of my day, which means that my frame of reference, what I focus on, is comedy. And in that way, I just enjoy what I do very much. So I'm sorry the screen share didn't work. It was lovely. I had pictures of babies in animal costumes, but hey, technology, what are you going to do?
That was great.
Laugh.
Brilliant. And that was a good shake up anyway. I think it kind of shook us up a bit, like, because it didn't work. It was like, oh no,
yeah.
There's no way it shifted our state anyway, which was, I guess it was a bit. And what we'll do, obviously, is I'll put the link into the document, and we'll also put it into the group afterwards, so we can watch it in the Random Dialogue group. And there's again the link to find out all about us and the talks and anything else you want. And if you're watching, you've just tuned in, because I know a few people have been dipping in and out. Come and come and say hi. You can write in the comments. You can give us some love, give us a like, and ask us questions or comment on any of the speakers that you've so far heard. Thank you, everybody. Now, I am going to actually read off my blog. I wrote this morning. And so I'm going to go onto another screen to read it. So again, if you're watching, you're thinking, actually, I'd like to speak, but I feel like I'd like to read something. That's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to click onto my blog to read it. So I'm actually not going to be able to see the screen. So if suddenly I go out of solo layout or something, it's because I won't be aware. So maybe one of you needs to say something to me if that's the case. So I'm going to go to solo layout and click to the other screen. And my talk's called "Why Speaking from the Heart Could Help Solve World Problems." This is episode 25 of Jane Investigates. So what to speak about at this month's Random Dialogues, I asked. Well, as the event centres around speaking from the heart, why don't you just do that? Share something from your heart. So I know what I'll do, I thought. I'll investigate, how do we speak from our heart? So what does speaking from the heart mean to you if you're watching and listening? What actually does it mean to speak from the heart? My friend Yeshe Trinley was a Buddhist monk, and he joined us in Guildford at Random Dialogues when we first started. And he was a great catalyst in getting it going and growing. He'd been training to be what he was, a heart math coach. And I remember being plugged into one of these gadgets to measure my heart-brain coherence. And I took a little peek at the heart math site and found this quote. "Tuning into your heart's wisdom creates a profound shift within that helps you approach situations and with more emotional balance, compassion, clarity, and personal confidence." Now, this is another little snippet from an article. It's a bit more scientific. Research has shown that the heart communicates to the brain in 4 major ways. And these are the long words for me to read. Neurologically, through the transmission of nerve impulses; biochemically, via hormones and neurotransmitters; biophysically, through pressure waves; and energetically, through electromagnetic fields. Communication around all these conduits significantly affects the brain's activity. And moreover, their research shows that messages the heart sends to the brain can also affect performance. So whilst the training seems very interesting on their site, I haven't the heart to do it right now. Plus my head and my bank balance also says no. Earlier this month, as Ian said, I hosted a creative digital boarding space where I spoke about ways we can tap into our creativity more and get out of our heads, which is where a lot of people spend time lingering on being quite logical. the session, I shared a meditation and also encouraged everyone to put something nice in their room, like a scented candle, something from nature, or perhaps a vase of flowers. So we weren't so focused on Zoom and we were in a brighter space. So that's already a couple of ways to get into our heart more, sort of encourage a brighter surrounding. And then we can speak more from our heart if we're in that settled space. These are 6 more tips I found, or not found, I've kind of probably just written from my heart as well, but perhaps if I read them and then you might think of some other things too. This is something that Trinley shared when I went to visit him at the monastery. Imagine there's a silver thread close to your heart with silver droplets on it that travel from your heart to the person you are speaking with. Visualizing this will help you to become more present to the words you are both saying and more connected. Another one I've learned from various courses I've run and taken part in is to use an I message. For example, you might be feeling frustrated with your teenagers for not picking up their wet towels. Instead of pointing your finger and shouting at them, sort of connect with your heart first and then reframe. Instead of saying something like, "You are annoying the hell out of me," instead say, "I'm frustrated to find the towels on the floor. It is not easy to dry with them. I would like you to just pop them over there on a radiator to dry." Spend time in nature. Pay attention to its wonders and appreciate what you see before you. A couple of years ago, I created a little story about an oak leaf, which was my way of encouraging kids back into nature too. And I wrote about it and did a little video on YouTube, which I've shared in this blog, which I'll share in a moment. So you might like to watch the video. Number 4, listen and pay attention to people when they speak. Mirror and match their body language. Even follow the rise and fall of their shoulders as they're breathing. This helps you to connect on a deeper level, as you're both in a calmer state and therefore more likely to be in your hearts. 5th, connect with the things that you love to do. Follow your heart. Speak about it. Refine your message. Come and join us here and speak about it. Connect with your tribe and you will naturally discover that you are speaking from your heart. And number 6, I had practice mindfulness. And finally, 3 reasons to speak from the heart. Number 1, well, we begin to share this gift with others and it's quite infectious. It lowers our stress levels. It might not have an immediate effect on solving world problems, but it might just make us kinder, more courageous and compassionate human beings. And there's actually a 4th one I added when I spoke to Phil earlier. He said, people take notice of people who are authentic and therefore might just listen more to your message. Now, each month I host a number of face-to-face and virtual community events for people to gather, learn, share and connect with their head and hearts. So you might like to come and join 1 or 2. So it's really lovely to have you here with us this evening. And we hope that you've enjoyed being with us and will come again soon. There. That is it.
Thanks, Jane.
So, Jonathan, you said we've transferred before for recording.
Yeah, I've transferred the files. Something occurred to me actually, because if I plug different devices in, so I plugged my headset in after I put the video up, and I wonder if maybe it might work now, but we can.
Oh,
you know.
We can try it. Well, let's try it in a minute. Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
We'll have some time still. So we've all had us all spoken.
Colin disappeared. Yeah.
Colin's here. Oh, Colin's here. Let me just get him back in again. Yes. Here you are, Colin. Sorry, you must have dipped out when I was speaking because I was on the other screen.
Yeah, I went backstage. I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes when you're all speaking and you're in solo view and it just dips out, and it's not that you finished, it just suddenly just kicks out for some reason.
You can't go into the event, can you, on Facebook at the same time as being here? I think that's what I did as well.
Yeah.
Kicks you out.
It's better to have your Facebook closed down with this, because actually the bandwidth, when I was reading into it, it takes up quite a lot of bandwidth being on Facebook at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, better to be here than not. Oh, Vanya's here. So She said, "Thank you. It is lovely, and I'm sorry I missed most people." Yeah, I know. Vanya messaged me at the start, and then I think couldn't access via the link, so I'm not sure why. I'll have to investigate that. So it's lovely that you're here, Vanya. It's lovely to meet you at Niall's event on Monday and connect with you there. So Niall, you ran do you want to share a little bit about that Monday's event?
Oh yeah, because it's every Monday now. It's literally like a mixer. You just come along, introduce yourself. If you've been before, say how you are, and then we do the second half. We do something different each time. So this first one of the month is like a 1-to-1, or maybe 2 1-to-1s, and then this next week is going to be a speaker. So there'll be 1 speaker and a discussion, or maybe 2, and then the next 2 are going to be creative things. That's the idea, is that you go into a little group and co-create something, and the last one of the month will be like a problem solving. So we make it like half of the sessions are creative and half of them are more like learning or sharing. Sorry, 1-to-1 connecting. So yeah, that's the idea.
And I've met Jonathan through your connecting with you through your groups, and I think we recently did some videos together about, and we used the hashtag Space Shakers. Space Shakers. So if you want to go to LinkedIn and see our little videos, we talked about spaces, didn't we? And I know you're doing some more work around that as well, the pair of you.
Yeah, lots of stuff around spaces, and Jay and I are going to do more stuff around mission stuff with another business partner. So it's all good stuff.
And Niall, where do we get the link for the Monday sessions?
I'm going to put it out tonight. Actually, everything on the peer space on LinkedIn is the best way. Can I share the link?
Yeah, if you can share it in the private chat, then I'll put it as a banner, and I'll also put it into the document, so everything's going into one place. Yeah. Ian, you wrote something here. Was that in the main chat?
That was replying to Jason, who said I'm going to have a busy year, and I just said, well, actually, having it in 5 buckets means that I can actually say not everything now, and it helps me to post better, because some things are going to take a long time to do. But I just like the idea of having 2 commercial offers that I can just do at a moment's notice. They're easy to do. It's skillful, but but I don't have to sort of plan and think and whatever and strategize. Anyway, that's just.
I'm going to just turn off this banner here. It pops up each time. Okay, that's your. Let me just copy and paste that into the banner. That's Niall's information. That goes. I click enter. Show banner. How about that? I'm getting better at this. It's quite hard trying to control.
Very impressive.
Anyone else like to share anything while they're here?
Very cool.
Or I can attempt to do my toilet humour shared screen.
Colin.
Right, see if this works.
Yeah, try and do that. Yeah.
Okay, I've clicked share. It's having a fit. Oh dear. Wait for the program to respond. Done. You've all gone pale.
I think the most likely to work is actually if Jane runs it.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I tried doing that before, and it makes the screen go into like loads of little screens. What do you want me to do?
I'll tell you. No, it's just I'm literally, if I move my mouse now, it's on the timer wheel, and you're all faded out, and it's not enjoying it at all. Opera not responding.
Oh, I see. So you put the TED Talk into the thing like that. So I need to then
copy and paste.
Edit it, copy and paste it. Control C, and then then put it into my other screen. Control
Share
V.
screen.
Control V. Let's have a go. I'm sure. Well, if everyone's watching now, we've done our talk. So if you are still watching, it's lovely you're still here. But I'm just going to fiddle around and see if we can share this screen. So I'm going to go to share screen. Share screen.
Application window. Share sound.
Yes, it doesn't say share sound online.
Ah.
Application window. That's that. That's what it shows. Yeah. This is why I find it really hard.
It's all gone quiet.
Yay!
Can you hear anything?
Yeah.
5 years old. We were playing
on
top of a bunk bed.
But you can't see the big version, can you? You've only got. Can you
We
see
could.
the big... Oh, you could.
We could. No, we can. Stop. Everything's perfect. Just play.
I was 2 years older than my sister at the time. I mean, I'm 2 years older than her now, but at the time that meant she had to do everything that I wanted to do, and I wanted to play war. So we were up on top of our bunk beds, and on one side of the bunk bed, I had put out all my G.I. Joe soldiers and weaponry, and on the other side were all my sister's Milos and ponies and ready for a cavalry charge. There are differing accounts of what actually happened that afternoon, but since my sister is not here with us today, let me tell you the true story. Which is my sister is a little bit on the clumsy side, and somehow, without any help or push from her older brother at all, suddenly Amy disappeared off the top of the bunk bed and landed with this crash on the floor. And I nervously peered over the side of the bed to see what had befallen my fallen sister, and saw that she had landed painfully on her hands and knees on all fours on the ground. Nervous because my parents had charged me with making sure that my sister and I played as safely and as quietly as possible. And seeing as how I had accidentally broken Amy's arm just 1 week before, heroically pushing her out of the way of an oncoming imaginary sniper bullet, for which I have yet to be thanked. I was trying as hard as I could. She didn't even see it coming. I was trying as hard as I could to be on my best behavior, and I saw my sister's faces wail of pain and suffering and surprise, threatening to erupt from her mouth and threatening to wake my parents from the long winter's nap for which they had settled. So I did the only thing my little frantic 7-year-old brain could think to do to avert this tragedy. If you have children, you've seen this hundreds of times before. I said, Amy, wait, don't cry. Did you see how you landed? No human lands on all fours like that.
So, Jane,
I
can only see... now I see the talk.
Now that was cheating, because there's nothing in the world my sister would want more than not to be Amy, the hurt 5-year-old little sister, but Amy, the special unicorn. Of course, this was an option that was open to her brain at no point in the past. And you could see on my poor, manipulated sister's face conflict, as her little brain attempted to devote resources to feeling the pain and suffering and surprise she just experienced, or contemplating her newfound identity as a unicorn. And the latter won out. Instead of crying, instead of ceasing our play, instead of waking my parents with all the negative consequences that would have ensued for me, instead, a smile spread across her face, and she scrambled right back up onto the bunk bed with all the grace of a baby unicorn.
Okay, Jane, can I try and share again?
Why?
Yeah, so my browser crashed, but if I can try and share a screen again...
So I'll stop sharing.
Yeah, in theory... Right. Can you see that? You can see that now on your screen, yeah?
No.
No, because I haven't put it into stream. There you go.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So now you've got the happiness advantage.
Yeah.
Have you got any sound?
Yes.
Okay, this is the bit.
Have you?
No sound.
No, there's no sound.
No sound. No sound.
Oh, dear. I don't know.
I think the difficulty is that you're running it as a separate application, a separate window.
Yeah, but they're on the sharing screen. There are 3 tabs, and one says application window.
Yeah, it is actually quite complicated. It's I'll have to think of a solution. But not right now, because it is difficult. Interesting. Yeah. So
it worked when Jane and I tested.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be very brutal and say you thought it worked. It may have worked. It's very weird. Application windows and hearing things and doing all sorts of stuff. This is the big nightmare.
Never mind.
Okay.
Well, go on.
I'm just going to say, actually, to conclude, I was just going to whiz around the room and maybe do you want to say the title of your talk again and just a word or reflection on this evening, so sort of to wind up, to wrap up. So we'll start perhaps with Niall, as you started. Title of your talk and anything else you want to just share.
My title of my talk was how sharing spaces are the ultimate space that we could all be getting ourselves more immersed in at these times, I'm going to be I'm out there pushing that out there as a big message, and thank you very much for having me, and I would love to hear more. Jane, I was very interested to hear more about your heartfelt idea, so that one particularly caught my eye, And thank you very much for having me again.
Thank you, Niall. Colin.
Yes, thank you, Jane, and equally, thank you very much for having me. I shared an experience I've had over the last 5 or 6 years of trying to simplify communication two-way, listening more effectively and communicating more effectively, replacing words and volumes of words with simple storyboard pictures, and going back to really what we were as children, where we communicated using pictures. And my experience is we try and overcomplicate. So thank you. I've really enjoyed it, and I've participated in a number of, like the Space Shakers, and I returned to Niall's Peer Spaces on Monday, and it was a very, very rewarding experience. So I will be continuing.
Fabulous. Thank you, Colin. Phil.
So I talked about how we are burdened with the worries of the world when we really don't need to be, and a way to get a better perspective on things is to simply lie back and stare at the night sky and give yourself 10 to 15 minutes of doing that, and just be at one with the universe, and it'll put things into much better perspective for you. That's what I was talking about.
Thank you. Ian.
I talked about seeing the way and seeing the path through the landscape of what I saw coming up this year. It helps me get perspective. And my thoughts were, I got a lot out of each of the talks today. I thought they were, this evening, I thought they were fantastic. But the other thing that goes through my mind is, crikey, I live in a noisy house.
Yeah. Thank you. Jonathan.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me. It's very nice. First time I've been here. The talk didn't go the way I planned it to, but essentially it's an alternative option to Phil's suggestion, which is basically the news and media and social media is relatively toxic by even the best standards. So focus on comedy, on joy, on pictures of baby animals. There's a TED talk about looking at just Google a baby animal once a day, because just the cuteness changes your perspective, which was what Phil was talking about.
Wonderful, thank you. And I talked about speaking from the heart, and we're in a heart space. Well, these little things that, the little issues with tech and everything don't matter, because actually it's all right, and we can do it again next time. And that's the whole point of this, isn't it? To kind of be together, come together, and just be in a heart space together. There's nothing bad is going to happen. So thank you for coming again this month. It's a second Wednesday of every month that we gather together like this for the speaking event. As I said, we've got the Random Dialogues group. If you've sort of met us this evening and want to join the group, it's free. You can join the Facebook group. We also have a meeting once a month, kind of a couple of weeks before the event, where we can again come together and just gather and talk about the talks or anything random. You don't have to be a speaker. You don't have to come along and speak. It's absolutely fine. There's other projects going on. It's just around sharing ideas, swapping, launching ideas, and connecting with the things that we love to do. So I'm Jane Tyson, your host. Thank you everyone for watching. See you next time.
Thanks, Jane.
Do you want me to tell a joke in the last minute?
Yeah, go on then.
Okay, so obviously bars aren't open and I don't drink, but for the purposes of this joke, I was in the bar the other night. This bloke comes in, he goes to me, sorry, and I went, mate, that's really irritating. He goes, I can only apologise.